The dark of space was silent before the storm. Beyond Earth's moon, hundreds of alien ships hovered in formation, their glowing hulls reflecting the pale light of Sol. The fleets of the Galactic Council had arrived, a force so vast that its shadow covered half the planet. Every human nation watched their skies, every defense satellite went on alert, and every heart beat faster. This was not a negotiation anymore. It was Judgment Day. In orbit above the blue planet, the Galactic Council's flagship, the Concordant, stood like a city in the void. Thousands of alien eyes watched Earth from within its metal halls. Inside the council chamber, the air shimmered with power and arrogance. Representatives of 100 species sat in a circle, each one more advanced, more ancient, more certain of their dominance than the last. At the center of the chamber stood the human delegation, 3 figures from Earth, dwarfed by the alien grandeur. Their leader, Ambassador Elias Grant, wore no armor, carried no weapon, and yet his calm presence made the air heavy. To his left stood Commander Holt of the United Earth Defense Fleet, his eyes sharp and cold. To his right, a silent translator adjusted the holographic tablet projecting live feeds of Earth's defense networks. The High Consul Tharek of the Karth Dominion, a reptilian creature with golden scales and eyes like burning coals, slammed his clawed hand on the table. "Humans of Sol," his voice boomed, echoing across the chamber, "you stand before the Galactic Council accused of defiance. You were warned. You were ordered to pay tribute for your protection under the Galactic Edict. Instead, you refused. You destroyed 2 Peace Fleet vessels sent to enforce compliance. Now, you will answer." The sound of alien murmurs rippled through the hall. Commander Holt didn't flinch. His gaze moved from the console to the massive holographic projection of Earth spinning slowly above the chamber floor. Thousands of alien ships surrounded his home, yet his voice was calm. Those ships entered human space without consent. They opened fire first. "Your logic means nothing before the Council," roared Tharek. "The law is clear. Tribute is demanded. 1/10 of your world's resources every cycle. Failure to comply means annihilation." The chamber fell silent as the words sank in. The demand was final. The aliens thought they were being generous. They always did. Ambassador Grant finally raised his eyes. "And if Earth refuses again?" he asked softly. Tharek bared his fangs in a mocking grin. "Then your world will burn." The lights flickered as if echoing the tension in the air. Around the chamber, alien admirals and envoys whispered in anticipation. They had seen this play out countless times before. A defiant world would kneel after its fleets were shattered, its people terrified into obedience. The Council would claim another system, another resource, another subject. But something in the humans' tone unsettled them. Grant stepped forward. The translator drones turned their glassy eyes toward him, waiting to capture every syllable. He looked not at the consul, but at the entire assembly of alien empires watching from the stands. "Before Earth answers," he said, "let me ask something." Vera, the archivist, a crystalline being who floated above her chair, adjusted her tone. "Proceed, human." Grant's eyes were steady. "How many civilizations have you demanded tribute from before us?" Tharek gave a low hiss. "Hundreds. It is the way of peace. Order requires balance. The weak contribute. The strong protect." "Protect," Grant repeated, tasting the word like poison. "You send fleets to destroy those who resist. You call it peace, but it's conquest wrapped in rules." 1,000 eyes glowed with irritation. One alien ambassador rose. "You speak like a child. You are new to the galaxy, human. You do not understand power." Grant smiled faintly. "No," he said. "We understand it too well." The silence that followed was sharp as glass. Even Tharek leaned back, studying the human's calmness. Every alien could feel it now, that strange human tension, quiet but dangerous, the stillness before lightning strikes. On Earth's surface, the skies filled with streaks of light. Council fleets had begun positioning for orbital lockdown. Across continents, human defense systems powered up silently. Missile silos, orbital cannons, plasma shields. None of the alien ships could detect the transmissions. Human systems operated on frequencies unknown to the galaxy. A signal flashed across the holographic table. Commander Holt glanced at his tablet. One word blinked in encrypted green letters. Ready. He gave a subtle nod. Grant met the gaze of the High Consul. "You asked for tribute," he said, his voice low but firm. "You will have our answer now." The translator drones hummed, recording the statement. The room held its breath. Even the cosmic hum of the Council's reactor seemed to fade. Grant looked at the assembly of empires, at the fleets outside waiting to strike, at the galaxy's most powerful rulers who thought themselves untouchable. Then, with perfect calm, he spoke a single word. It was simple, clear, one syllable. Every translation unit paused to confirm it. Every alien representative leaned forward as if they had misheard. The Council's communication network repeated it across 1,000 channels, verifying the meaning in every known tongue. The word echoed through the chamber, through the fleets, through the galaxy's secure networks. It was a word no one had dared speak to the Council before. Every alien's expression changed. Disbelief first, then shock, and finally a creeping sense of fear. High Consul Tharek slammed his hand down. You dare speak that word to the Council?" Elias Grant's voice was quiet but steady. "We don't dare, Consul. We choose." The chamber erupted in shouts. Alien voices shouted orders, guards stepped forward, translation drones buzzed in confusion. The holographic projection of Earth flickered as the Council's ships began to align for strike formation. On the surface of Earth, deep beneath the mountains of Colorado, the United Earth Defense Command activated a hidden relay. The command was sent through ancient cables buried in the planet's crust, linked to satellites disguised as civilian weather arrays. Within seconds, every human vessel in the solar system received the same encrypted signal. A single word. The same word Elias had spoken in the chamber. The fleets moved. Silent, coordinated, invisible to alien sensors. Every defense grid turned toward the incoming invasion force. Not with panic, but with precision. The aliens didn't know yet, couldn't know, that humanity had been preparing for this moment since the first alien envoy arrived decades ago. They had studied every ship design, every communication code, every power frequency. They had hidden their strength under layers of diplomacy and apparent weakness. Now, as the Galactic Council chamber descended into chaos, Elias Grant stood unmoving. "Your fleets surround Earth," he said evenly. "You think numbers will win. You think your age and your technology make you gods, but you never studied humanity long enough to understand what we truly are," Tharek hissed. "You will be ash before the cycle ends." Grant's eyes darkened. "No, you will understand before the first shot is fired." Outside, in orbit above Earth, the alien armadas began to glow as energy built in their cannons. But then, one by one, the lights began to flicker. The ship's power systems faltered. Their shields dropped. Their navigation arrays glitched. The alien admirals screamed for answers, but their communications were dead. All systems were down. The humans had done something the galaxy didn't understand yet. Grant turned toward the Council, his face calm, almost sympathetic. "You wanted tribute," he said softly. "Earth just gave you a lesson instead." The chamber went silent again. Outside the window, thousands of alien ships hung powerless in space, their weapons cold, their engines dark, and across every frequency, every open channel in the galaxy, humanity's one-word answer began to echo, over and over. Unstoppable, undeniable, the Council's judgment had come. But this time it wasn't Earth being judged. The void above Earth was filled with silent wreckage. Alien ships floated powerless, their lights dead, their engines frozen. For the first time in the history of the Galactic Council, a full fleet had been defeated without a single human shot fired. The aliens called it impossible. The humans called it strategy. Far beyond the moon, hidden in the shadow of Mars, the United Earth Defense Fleet waited. Hundreds of human ships, dark and silent, hovered in formation. Their commander, Admiral Rhodes, watched the flickering remains of the Council fleet through the viewport. "Status of alien vessels?" he asked quietly. "Still dead, sir," replied Lieutenant Mira. "Power cores are offline. Their AI systems aren't responding. It's like something inside their networks just vanished. Rhodes leaned forward. Good, he murmured. They're learning. On the other side of the galaxy, chaos consumed the Galactic Council chamber. The representatives shouted over one another, demanding answers. High Consul Tharek roared for silence, his claws scraping against the metal floor. Explain this treachery. How can a primitive world destroy our fleets without firing? Vera the Archivist flickered with nervous energy. It's not destruction, she said softly. The ships are intact. Something disrupted their core systems. It was not physical, it was informational. Tharek's eyes flared. Are you saying the humans hacked our ships? The evidence suggests it, she admitted. But that should be impossible. Our encryption is beyond any known race's understanding. The Council's screens displayed Earth's orbit, showing the dead alien ships drifting like corpses. Their communication systems were silent except for one repeating signal. It played over and over in a cold human voice. Denied. Every translation unit confirmed it. One word, one message, repeated across every frequency. The Council's fleets scrambled to respond, but even their backup systems began to fail. Long-distance communications flickered. Navigation relays went dark. Every planet connected to the Council's trade network felt strange disruptions. Machines freezing, power grids shutting down, data archives becoming unreadable. It was spreading. The aliens had called Earth a newcomer, a young and reckless species. But now, it looked as if this newcomer had found a way to reach into the very nervous system of the galaxy. Admiral Rhodes stood aboard the human command ship Resolute, watching the chaos unfold through intercepted signals. His officers looked anxious, some even afraid. Sir, the Council will retaliate, said Mira. They'll send their entire armada next time. They won't, Rhodes replied. They'll talk first. They always talk when they're afraid. He turned to the tactical display showing the network map. Red lights marked the Council's controlled systems. Blue lights marked human-controlled nodes. One by one, the red lights were dimming. Everything depends on timing, Rhodes said. Ambassador Grant should be speaking to them soon. On the Galactic Council's homeworld, the emergency session had already begun. The air was thick with tension. Hundreds of alien ambassadors glared at the human delegate, standing calmly in the center of the chamber. Elias Grant looked exactly as he had hours earlier, composed, expressionless, untouchable. Tharek slammed a data tablet onto the table. You have unleashed a plague upon our systems. Entire fleets are paralyzed. What is this attack? Grant met his gaze. You asked for tribute, he said. We delivered it. A murmur spread through the crowd. This is not tribute, shouted another representative. This is an act of war. Grant smiled faintly. War? You sent your fleets to surround our planet. You pointed your weapons at civilians and called it peace. We merely reminded you that Earth doesn't pay in fear. The Council fell silent. For the first time in generations, they were on the defensive. Vera floated closer, her crystalline body glinting with pale light. Human, she said, her tone softer. How did you disable our fleets? What technology do you possess? Grant's eyes met hers. You gave it to us. Confusion spread. Tharek snarled. Explain. Grant walked slowly across the chamber. For decades, you sold us your technology, ships, reactors, communication cores. You thought you were making us dependent. You didn't realize we were studying everything you gave us. Every machine, every line of code, every system that kept your empire alive. And when we built our own networks, we built them better, cleaner, hidden. He paused, letting the silence stretch. When you demanded tribute, every human nation agreed on one thing: never again. So while you gathered fleets, we buried something inside your systems. You call it the Galactic Grid. We call it the Trojan Circuit. A ripple of horror moved through the room. The Council's entire economy ran on that grid. Every trade route, every relay, every database. And the humans had just taken control of it. Tharek's claws dug into the metal table. You dare threaten the Council? Grant's voice didn't rise. We don't threaten. We respond. In orbit above Earth, the alien fleets flickered to life for a brief second, then powered down again. Sparks flared across their hulls as control systems refused commands from alien captains. On 1,000 worlds, Factories stopped, weapons deactivated, and communication lines went silent. The Galactic Council's vast empire was slowly going dark, one system at a time. Admiral Rhodes received the confirmation signal. The fleet reports came in. All human ships were undetected, hidden behind their stealth barriers. No retaliation detected. No alien ships could trace the source of the interference. Rhodes stood silently, watching the red lights fade. "So it begins," he said. Back in the council chamber, the alien representatives had gone from outrage to panic. Some demanded immediate retaliation. Others begged for negotiation. Tharek pointed at Grant. "You cannot win against the council." "You are one world against thousands." Grant didn't move. "Then tell me," he said quietly, "where are your thousands now?" Vera's sensors lit up as she connected to the council's network, desperate for proof. What she saw made her crystalline body flicker with fear. "Systems are collapsing," she whispered. "The entire central grid is locked. The command codes have changed." "By whose authority?" Tharek roared. Vera turned toward Grant. "By his!" The chamber erupted again. Guards raised weapons, but Tharek shouted for them to stop. Everyone could feel it. The humans had done something the galaxy had never seen. They had made the council helpless without even firing a shot. Grant looked around at the chaos and spoke once more. "We are not your enemies." "But we are not your subjects either. You demanded tribute. Earth refuses. From now on, every civilization in this galaxy will stand as equals, or fall with those who try to rule." He turned and began walking toward the chamber's exit. No one dared to stop him. Even Tharek, shaking with rage, could do nothing but stare as the human disappeared through the doors. As the council scrambled to regain control, Earth's signal continued to echo across the galaxy. Cold, steady, unstoppable, denied. On Earth, the people watched the skies. The alien ship still floated above them, powerless and silent. The world held its breath, waiting for what came next. In the command center beneath the surface, Admiral Rhodes received new data from the deep space probes. He frowned as he saw the readings. "They're sending more fleets," he said quietly. "How many?" asked Mira. "Too many," he answered. "But it doesn't matter. We know their patterns now." He turned toward the tactical screen showing the approaching armadas from distant sectors. "The next wave will test us," he said. "But they'll learn that Earth's silence isn't weakness. It's preparation." Outside, the dark fleets of the Council gathered once more, forming up beyond Pluto's orbit. Their energy signatures were immense, their weapons glowing with fury, but deep within those alien ships, hidden in their own systems, a human program waited. A simple code buried in their navigation cores. The signal that would be sent when they crossed the line toward Earth's territory. One word. The same one Elias Grant had spoken in the council chamber. And when that signal triggered, every alien ship in the approaching armada would discover what the galaxy was beginning to understand. That humanity's quiet defiance was more terrifying than any weapon they had ever seen. The void beyond Neptune was no longer empty. A wall of alien ships had appeared from hyperspace, their dark silhouettes blotting out the distant stars. The new Galactic Council armada was twice the size of the last, led by their most feared commander, Admiral Karathun of the Torgath Dominion. His voice echoed through the command channels of the fleet, deep and full of contempt. "The humans humiliated the Council once," he said. "Now we erase them." In orbit around Earth, the United Earth Defense Fleet watched the incoming storm. The alien armada stretched across the edge of the solar system like a horizon of metal and light. They were moving in formation, cautious but confident, prepared to crush any resistance. On board the human flagship Sentinel, Admiral Rhodes stood before a panoramic display of space. The entire room pulsed with quiet tension. "Contact in 6 hours," reported Lieutenant Mira. "They're coming in from all directions this time." "No blind spots?" Rhodes nodded slowly. "They've learned," he said. "Good. So have we." Every human ship was silent, running on minimal energy, invisible to standard scans. The Solar Defense Network, a lattice of hidden satellites spread across the system, began transmitting encrypted signals to every human vessel. Across the Moon, Mars, and even the asteroid belt, hidden relay stations came online one by one, connecting into a single invisible web. The aliens believed they were entering an easy battlefield. What they didn't know was that the humans had spent decades preparing this exact scenario. Every rock, every orbiting station, every forgotten probe was part of something bigger, a trap built in plain sight. As the alien armada advanced, Karathun's second officer reported strange interference. "Sensors are flickering, Admiral. Their readings are unstable." "Ignore it," Karathun growled. "Human tricks. They think they can blind us again." But it was not blindness. It was misdirection. The alien fleet didn't realize that they were being guided, not by human weapons, but by human data. The Council's navigation systems had already been infected during their last contact with Earth's network. Every coordinate they followed was slightly off, adjusted by invisible code written by human engineers years ago. By the time they reached what their charts marked as the orbit of Saturn, they were already dozens of light minutes away from where they thought they were. On Earth, the Defense Command watched the alien formation drift into the trap. General Keller, an old strategist who had fought in the first contact wars, leaned over the console. "Activate Project Eclipse," he ordered. A deep hum filled the control center beneath the Rockies. Across the solar system, hundreds of dormant satellites came alive, their hidden panels unfolding like petals. They were not weapons, at least not in the conventional sense. They were emitters, designed to create a field of electromagnetic silence. Within moments, the alien armada's sensors went dark. Their communications failed. Ships could no longer detect one another. Panic spread through the alien command networks. "Admiral, we've lost formation," shouted one of Karathun's officers. "We can't locate our escorts. Our beacons are gone." "Switch to manual control," Karathun barked. "Target Earth's coordinates and fire everything." But even as his order went out, their weapons refused to respond. The energy cores flickered. The targeting systems failed. Something deep in the programming was rewriting itself. On board the Sentinel, Rhodes watched as the alien fleet fell into confusion. He knew what they were experiencing, the same helplessness they had inflicted on others for centuries. Mira looked up from her console. "Sir, shall we strike?" Rhodes shook his head. "Not yet. Let them feel it." For 10 long minutes, the galaxy's most powerful fleet drifted in silence, unable to see or speak. Then the stars themselves seemed to move. From the blackness of space, human ships began to appear. Hundreds of them, cloaked until now. They surrounded the alien armada in perfect silence, their formation tight and precise. On board Karathun's flagship, the sudden detection of human vessels triggered alarms across the bridge. "They're everywhere!" shouted an officer. Karathun's eyes widened as he saw the impossible. Tiny human ships surrounding his massive dreadnoughts, positioning themselves like hunters around prey. "Open fire!" he roared, but nothing happened. The systems were still locked. Rhodes gave a single nod. "Execute Phase 2, the command went out. From each human ship, a pulse of blue light expanded outward. It was not an attack, it was a broadcast. A data wave carrying human-coded signals into the alien systems. Within seconds, the alien ship's own targeting computers came back online, but their sensors no longer recognized friend from foe. The first alien dreadnought fired on another, then 2 more. Chaos erupted across the armada as thousands of ships turned their weapons on one another, their targeting data completely corrupted. From Earth, the spectacle was visible through every telescope and satellite. The night sky above the horizon flared with silent explosions, colors shifting as alien plasma bursts collided in orbit around distant planets. Humanity watched as the unstoppable armada destroyed itself. Inside the Galactic Council chamber far away, the news came in waves of horror. Tharek slammed his claw against the floor as reports flooded in. 50,000 ships gone, how? Vera trembled as she processed the data. They're fighting themselves. Their fleet systems have been rewritten by human code. Impossible, shouted another delegate. Vera turned toward them, her crystalline body dimming with realization. No, not impossible. Brilliant. Admiral Karathun's ship was one of the few still functional. His communications console crackled as a human signal forced its way through. A calm voice spoke. "Elias Grants, Admiral Karathun," the voice said. "You are trespassing in Sol space. Stand down and return to your council," Karathun snarled. "You think this ends here, human? You think you can frighten the galaxy with your tricks?" Grant's voice did not change. "No, we don't need to frighten you. We only need to remind you that we don't kneel." Karathun's claws dug into his command chair. "You cannot hide behind your machines forever. We will come again." "Then come," said Grant. "But next time, remember that every ship you send, every weapon you fire, every system you rely on carries a piece of us inside it." The signal cut off. Moments later, Karathun's ship froze. The engines died, the lights faded, and the mighty flagship drifted silently into the dark. On the Sentinel, Admiral Rhodes lowered his head. "It's done," he said quietly. Earth's network came alive with celebration, but Rhodes did not smile. "They'll call this victory," he said to Mira, "but it's not over. The Council will not accept defeat. They'll look for another way." Mira frowned. "Then what do we do?" "We prepare," he said. "And we listen, because soon the galaxy will start whispering about us. They'll call us dangerous. They'll call us unpredictable. And then they'll call us something worse." "Which is?" she asked. He looked at the fading wreckage of the alien fleet. "Equal." The alien armada was gone, but the word humanity had spoken still echoed across the stars. Every signal, every message, every intercepted transmission carried it, denied. In the silent darkness beyond Pluto, the broken remains of alien ships drifted like monuments. No one dared to approach, and in the Galactic Council's Grand Hall, the leaders of 100 worlds stared at one another, shaken and afraid. For the first time in galactic history, the Predators had met something they could not control. The humans had not only survived, they had rewritten the rules of the galaxy. The black void of space erupted into chaos as the first wave of alien warships entered Sol's orbit. Their shimmering hulls reflected the sunlight over Earth like dark gods descending. Every major city on the planet could see them, massive angular vessels with pulsating blue energy cores hovering silently above the atmosphere. Humanity's communication networks filled with one repeating message from the invaders. "Submit your tribute, or be erased." On the deck of Earth's Orbital Defense Command Station, Captain Lewis watched the alien fleet expand across every tactical screen. The Galactic Council's tribute fleet was larger than anything humans had ever faced. Hundreds of ships, all perfectly aligned, their weapons trained on the planet below. Yet Lewis didn't look afraid. He looked calculating. He pressed a button, opening a direct feed to every human fleet commander around the planet. "They think we'll bow," he said coldly. "They think Earth will pay tribute like the others. Let's show them what humans do when threatened." "Ready all orbital cannons," replied Admiral Rhodes from the Atlantic Command. "Project Genesis online. Target coordinates locked. The aliens opened fire first. Beams of blue plasma rained toward Earth, slicing through the upper atmosphere. But before they could reach the surface, the sky rippled. A sudden burst of golden energy flared around the planet. The alien plasma bolts vanished against it, dispersing into harmless sparks. "Planetary shield holding," said Lewis calmly. "Begin counterstrike." From hidden launch silos on the moon's far side, hundreds of dark angular ships emerged. Human stealth frigates with matte black hulls, invisible to alien scanners. They moved silently, cutting through space like shadows. The aliens hesitated. Their sensors picked up nothing but faint distortions. Then suddenly their lead cruiser exploded, its core imploding without warning. Panic spread across the alien communication grid. They were under attack by ships they couldn't see. Admiral Rhodes smiled grimly. "Welcome to human warfare," she said. Within minutes, 3 more alien vessels went down. The stealth frigates darted in and out of view, using gravity wells and false signals to distort alien sensors. The humans didn't fight with brute strength. They fought like ghosts, but the aliens weren't unprepared. Their commander, a towering insectoid named Vrel, activated a secondary scan pulse. "They hide behind electromagnetic distortion," he hissed. "Purge the entire orbit. Burn them out." The alien fleet unleashed a wall of plasma fire, spreading destruction in all directions. Dozens of human frigates were vaporized instantly. The rest scattered, some plunging toward the moon's shadow, others hiding in the debris field of old satellites. In Earth's command center, the lights flickered. "We're losing ships too fast," said Lewis. "Activate contingency protocol." The station's AI core came online. "Confirming activation of Project Tempest," it announced. On the far side of Mars, buried within a network of human military outposts, enormous platforms began to rise from the red soil. Each carried colossal cannons, prototype railguns capable of firing at near-light speed. Targeting. "Primary alien cruiser," said Lewis. "Fire!" The space between Mars and Earth split, with a flash so bright it blinded every visual feed. A moment later, the alien command ship shattered into a million fragments. The explosion rippled through its formation, tearing apart smaller ships caught in the shock wave. The humans had just destroyed a vessel nearly 10 kilometers long with a single strike. For the first time, the alien fleet began to retreat. But their retreat wasn't fast enough. Earth's defense grid came alive. Hundreds of orbital railguns, missile platforms, and interceptor drones rose from every continent. The human fleet surged forward, chasing the retreating aliens with terrifying precision. On the alien bridge, Vrel shouted to his crew, "Fall back to Council space! The humans possess forbidden weapons!" As the enemy ships fled beyond the moon's orbit, humanity's fleet did not pursue. They simply held position, silent and victorious. The debris of alien warships glittered like falling stars over the Earth's night sky. Back in the Council's central chamber, panic erupted among the assembled species. Holoscreens displayed footage of the battle, human stealth ships appearing out of nowhere, the impossible energy shield that protected Earth, the railgun that tore apart a dreadnought like paper. "The humans defied a direct order," shouted one counselor. "They destroyed a tribute fleet. They must be sanctioned," another yelled. "No species may wield weapons of that magnitude." But their words trembled with fear. The Council had seen the truth. Humanity was not a primitive race barely stepping into the stars. They were strategists, engineers, and survivors capable of facing a fleet that had subdued dozens of worlds. The Council's supreme arbiter silenced the chamber with a gesture. "Prepare the emergency session," he said. "We will confront the humans directly. If they refuse the tribute again, we will make an example of their world." Days later, as humanity celebrated its victory, a massive hyperspace disturbance appeared beyond Pluto's orbit. Thousands of ships emerged, sleek golden vessels bearing the insignia of the Galactic Council. This was not a tribute fleet. It was an extermination force. Earth's radar screens went white with signals. Every orbital satellite reported one thing: "Incoming hostile force. Council fleet detected." The message reached Captain Lewis on the orbital command deck. He looked out the window, his reflection mixing with the stars. "So they're bringing the entire galaxy to our doorstep," he muttered. "Then we'll make sure they remember why they should have stayed away." He opened a secure transmission to every human base across the solar system. "This is Earth Command. Phase 2, authorization granted. Deploy the Blackwing fleets. From hidden hangars beneath the ice of Europa, from secret tunnels under Mars, and from vast orbital platforms disguised as mining stations, humanity's true armada emerged. Each ship was armed with dark energy drives, an experimental technology Earth had kept secret from the galaxy for decades. As the human fleet assembled around Earth, the space between the two forces began to hum with rising energy. On one side stood the Council's Grand Armada representing 1,000 worlds. On the other stood humanity, newcomers, outnumbered, but radiating a defiance that burned brighter than any star. The alien commander of the Council fleet sent a transmission. "Earth, you have violated galactic law. You will surrender your weapons, your technologies, and your sovereignty. What is your response?" The human commander smiled. "Our answer is the same as before." The channel went silent for a heartbeat. Then came a single word. Calm. Cold and final. Denied. The transmission cut off. Moments later, space itself ignited as the first shots of the greatest battle in the galaxy's history began. The humans did not wait for mercy. They unleashed it. The war for humanity's survival and the galaxy's fear had begun. The darkness of space was torn apart by fire. The Galactic Council's fleet, an endless sea of golden warships, descended upon the solar system like a storm meant to erase an entire species. Their ships blotted out the stars, their engines thundered across every channel, and the sky above Earth turned into a swirling storm of energy and death. From the bridge of Earth's orbital command, Captain Lewis stood motionless, eyes locked on the massive holographic projection before him. Thousands of red markers filled the screen, enemy vessels approaching from every direction. The human defense grid was fully online, shields humming and railguns charged. Yet no one spoke. No one moved. The entire crew waited for his command. Then the first council barrage hit. Columns of plasma energy streaked across the void, slamming into the human defense lines. Massive explosions tore through orbit. Dozens of defense satellites disintegrated instantly, leaving trails of burning debris that rained down through the atmosphere. "Alarms screamed through every deck. Multiple impacts on the Pacific Defense Array," shouted an officer. "Orbital shield sectors 5 through 9 are failing." Lewis didn't blink. "Divert power from the lunar grid. Keep the main shield up. Sir, that will disable our outer railguns. Do it." The bridge shook violently as another plasma wave struck. The holographic display flickered, but Lewis's voice remained calm. "Target their forward battleships. Focus on the carrier with the largest heat signature. Fire everything we have." Human ships moved in perfect coordination. Thousands of railgun rounds and missile clusters burst from Earth's orbit, slicing through the void. The alien fleet retaliated with devastating precision, but humans had already adapted. Their ships darted between wreckage and artificial shadows, masking their positions with decoy beacons and fake heat trails. The first alien carrier exploded in a brilliant burst of blue fire. Its destruction sent shockwaves across the formation, scattering nearby ships. Humanity's counterattack had begun. Admiral Rhodes's voice came through the comms. "The Black Wing squadrons are in position. Ready to strike on your order." Lewis looked at the incoming swarm of enemy ships. "Engage. All wings cut through their center line. Show them what Earth does when cornered." The Black Wings, the secret human strike force, launched from their hidden positions behind Jupiter's moons. Their ships were dark, blade-like vessels equipped with experimental drives that allowed them to phase through limited dimensions of space. To alien sensors, they simply vanished. When they reappeared, they were already inside the Council fleet's formation. Explosions lit up the void. The alien cruisers tried to regroup, but their formation collapsed. Every time they locked onto a human ship, it disappeared again, reappearing behind them to strike from impossible angles. The alien commander, Vrel, hissed in disbelief as he watched his fleet crumble. Impossible. Their ships break every law of movement. Find their energy source. Destroy it! But it was too late. Human warships surrounded the alien flagship like predators. Their railguns fired simultaneously, puncturing the shields, then the hull. A deep shockwave rippled through the Council fleet. Their communication lines fell silent for the first time in history. On Earth, billions watched the live feed in silence as the alien armada that had promised to destroy them faltered before their eyes, and then came the next phase. "Activate. Project Eclipse," ordered Lewis, far beneath the planet's surface. In a chamber that had been hidden even from most human governments, an ancient device roared to life. It wasn't a weapon in the traditional sense. It was a system built from Earth's earliest research into energy manipulation, capable of bending space itself. A wave of energy pulsed outward from Earth's core, invisible but unstoppable. It swept across the solar system, engulfing every ship, human and alien alike. The alien ships flickered. Their engines failed. Their navigation systems went dark. "Sir, we're reading gravitational anomalies everywhere," shouted the sensor officer. "Their ships are losing stability." Lewis watched as hundreds of alien warships began to spiral out of control, pulled into collapsing pockets of distorted gravity. "That's the point," he said softly. "We control the battlefield now." The Council fleet tried to retreat, but their hyperspace drives couldn't synchronize. The gravitational fields created by Project Eclipse made the space around Earth impossible to navigate. Humanity had turned their own solar system into a cage, and the aliens were trapped inside. For 3 hours, the battle raged across every planet. Mars' defense batteries shredded cruiser formations. Earth's orbital cannons turned the skies into burning seas. Even the Moon's mining stations joined the fight, launching improvised rail slugs at retreating ships. Finally, the Council fleet began to fall back, their command vessels crippled, their communications in chaos, but the humans didn't chase. They didn't need to. The Council had already seen enough. When the last alien ship disappeared into the dark beyond Neptune, silence fell across every human command center. The stars looked calm again, but the air was heavy with disbelief. Humanity, once considered primitive and weak, had just defeated the combined might of a galactic empire. In the ruins of the Council's flagship, Vrel recorded his final transmission. "To the Council High Seat," he said with shaking hands, "we underestimated them. Their planet is not a simple world. It is a fortress. Their species is not new. It is ancient in will, forged by conflict, and driven by something the galaxy does not understand. Defiance." He paused, staring at the burning reflection of Earth on his shattered display. "Withdraw. Do not return." Weeks later, in the Great Hall of the Galactic Council, every representative of every species gathered in fearful silence. The Supreme Arbiter's voice echoed through the chamber. "The humans have destroyed our tribute fleet, and now our war armada. What shall we do?" No one spoke. The fear in the chamber was thicker than air. Finally, one elder stood up. "We demanded tribute," he said slowly. "And their answer was one word. That same word ended 2 fleets. Perhaps we should listen." The Arbiter stared at the hologram of Earth, now marked as a restricted system on all galactic charts. "Then we shall name them as we name no other. The humans. Unapproachable. Unconquerable." Years later, whispers spread through the galaxy. Entire species spoke the same warning whenever human ships entered their sectors. Do not provoke Earth. For while others expanded through peace, humanity had learned something else. They had built their strength not from abundance, but from survival. From wars, from loss, from resilience no alien could fathom, and so the galaxy changed forever. Human fleets began to patrol trade routes, not as conquerors, but as silent watchers. No one dared attack their colonies. Even pirates who once plundered weaker worlds vanished after crossing Earth's path. In the black of space, human ships moved quietly, their hulls bearing no flags, no emblems, only a single symbol on their sides, a small blue sphere surrounded by light. When aliens asked what it meant, humans answered simply, home, and that word, so small, so human, carried more weight than any threat. Because the galaxy had learned that when Earth spoke, even the stars listened. The Galactic Council never again demanded tribute from any species. Every time the topic arose, silence would fall, and someone would whisper the same reminder that had changed everything. Remember what they said when we demanded their tribute. Denied.